Welcome to day one of the identity shift. I'm so glad you're here. Let's start by taking a deep breath together. One more time, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Good. If you've invested in this challenge, it means something in you knows that you're ready for a different conversation about your worth. And I want you to know that knowing in you, that inner pull that brought you here, that's your expertise calling you forward. Today, we're dismantling the identity that says, I'm not an expert. And I'm going to be honest with you, this one runs deep. It's the identity that keeps you researching. Maybe I need one more certification, comparing yourself to other people in your field, and wondering if maybe you just need a little more time before you can actually charge what you're worth. It's the identity that has you scrolling through other people's websites at night, analyzing their positioning, their credentials, their pricing, trying to figure out if you measure up. It's the identity that makes you say, I just help people with when someone asks you what you do, even though what you actually do is transform lives. It's the identity that keeps you stuck in the exhausting cycle of proving, preparing, perfecting, getting ready to be ready, but never quite feeling ready enough. But here's what I want you to know for yourself. You wouldn't be here if you weren't ready. You wouldn't have invested in yourself if you didn't already have something valuable to offer. The expertise is already there. We're just going to help you see it clearly. Because the truth is, you've been an expert for a very long time. You've just been looking through a lens that distorts your value, that minimizes your impact, and keeps you playing small. Today, we're changing that lens. Before we begin, I want you to set yourself up for this time together. Grab something to write with, a journal, your notes app, whatever feels right. Turn off notifications. Close all extra tabs. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. This hour is about you finally seeing yourself the way your clients already see you. It's about recognizing the value you've been giving away and the expertise you've been hiding behind self-doubt. This isn't just a teaching session. This is an activation. By the end of our time together, something will have shifted in you. You're going to see evidence you couldn't see before. You're going to recognize patterns that you were blind to previously. And you're going to walk away knowing, not just thinking, but knowing that you are actually who your premium clients are looking for. So let's get started. Here's what happens when you become truly skilled at something. Maybe it's a natural skill, or maybe you studied it and you've been applying it. It starts to feel easy, effortless, maybe, basic. And that's when the expertise blind spot kicks in. You start thinking, well, anyone could do this, or this isn't that special, or there's a ton of people already doing this. Let me tell you a story. I was working with a client, Maria. She had been marketing for other people as a strategist for 15 years. She had worked with Fortune 500 companies, built campaigns that generated millions in revenue. And she had this incredible ability to see brand blind spots, places they could position, messages they could share that no one else could see. But when I asked her what she charged in her own business, she told me $75 an hour. I said, Maria, why $75 an hour? And she said, well, it's just marketing. Everyone does marketing. I can't charge premium rates for something that's just so basic. Basic. She called 15 years of expertise and $1 million results basic because it's just marketing. She felt like she wasn't specialized enough. This is the expertise blind spot. And if you've ever caught yourself minimizing what you do, maybe you have it too. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. When you first learn a skill, it requires conscious effort. You have to think through every step. It's hard. You have to focus. It takes time. You make mistakes. You course correct. And you build competence slowly. But as you get better, something shifts. The skill moves from your conscious mind to your unconscious competence. You stop having to think about it. It becomes automatic, intuitive, easy. And your brain, trying to be helpful, says, if this is easy for me, it must be easy for everyone. But that's not true. What feels easy to you is priceless to someone else. The reason it feels easy is because you've put years of practice, made countless mistakes, developed pattern recognition, and built intuition that cannot be rushed or replicated. You've compressed years of learning into what now feels like instinct. That's not a lack of expertise. That's mastery. Think about it. Does a concert pianist think playing his song is difficult? Not anymore. It's easy for them. But that ease is the result of 10,000 hours of practice. The ease is the proof of expertise, not the absence of it. You are the concert pianist in your field. You've just forgotten that what you do effortlessly is what others struggle with, sometimes for years. When you can't see your own expertise clearly, you start charging for time instead of transformation. You start pricing based on what feels fair instead of what actually holds value. You research what other people charge instead of anchoring to the outcome you create. It's not time for money pricing. It's money for value pricing. But you are in the pattern of time for money. And think about, well, it only took me 15 minutes. And you stay stuck in the cycle of undercharging, not because you're not good enough, but because you literally cannot see what you're actually offering. You're selling yourself as someone who can play the piano when you're actually offering concert level mastery that transforms the entire experience. Do you see the difference? We're going to train your brain today to recognize your expertise the way your clients already do. We're going to shine a light on everything you've been discounting, dismissing, and diminishing. We're going to close the expertise blind spot so you can finally see what you're actually worth. I want you to listen for these patterns in yourself over the next few days. Listen closely to your words. Words like, I just help people with, the word just is a red flag. It's you minimizing before anyone else can. Oh, it's just this thing I do. Or I'm still learning, so, well, good. You'll be learning the rest of your life. That doesn't mean you're not an expert already. I don't know if I can charge that much yet. Yet? It is as if there's some magical moment in the future when you'll finally be worthy. Listen to your words to yourself and spoken outwardly. Constantly checking what others charge before setting your own rates, outsourcing your value to external validation, feeling like an imposter when someone calls you an expert, even though you have years of expertise and proven results, downplaying your results when describing your work. Oh, I helped him quickly figure out a few things, when what you actually did was transform their entire business. Waiting for one more credential before raising your prices, the certification addiction that keeps you stuck. Any of these landing? If so, you're in the right place. We're going to dismantle every single one. I want to introduce you to a concept called the expert recalibration. Most people think becoming an expert is about acquiring more knowledge, getting another degree, passing another course, earning another certification. But that's not what separates someone charging $500 from someone charging $5,000 for the same thing. The difference is identity. So, what makes someone an expert in the eyes of a premium client? It's not your resume. It's not your certifications. Those can support your credibility for sure. But what makes you an expert is three things. First, you can see what other people cannot see. You have pattern recognition that comes from experience. You can diagnose problems quickly. You can anticipate obstacles before they happen. You know the shortcuts and the pitfalls because you've lived them. When a client comes to you with a problem, you don't just hear what they're saying, you hear what they're not saying. You see the underlying issue. You recognize the pattern because you've seen it 100 times before. That's expertise. That's what people pay premium rates for. Let me give you an example. I worked with a business consultant who kept telling me she just asked questions. That's how she described her genius. I just asked questions. But when I watched her in action, here's what I saw. She was listening deeply. She could listen to a client describe their business challenge for 5 minutes and immediately identify the root cause. The client had been blind to it for years, but she could see the pattern. She could connect the dots. They seemed unrelated to the client. She could ask the one question that unraveled everything. That's not just asking questions. That's high-level diagnostic abilities that come from years of experience and hundreds of client interactions. She couldn't see it because to her, it was easy. 2, you can create results that others cannot create. Your specific methodology, your unique approach, your particular magic, it produces outcomes. And those outcomes are what people pay premium rates for, not your time, not your effort, their results. Here's what I want you to really understand. Your results are not just about what you teach or what you do. They're about how you do it. 2 people can teach the same content and get completely different outcomes. Why? Because one has developed a methodology, a sequence, a way of delivering that creates transformation. That's your value. That is your competitive advantage. Think about the last time a client had a breakthrough working with you. What created that breakthrough? Was it just the information you shared? Or was it the way you delivered it? The questions you asked, the reframe you offered, the space you held? That's expertise. And it's uniquely yours. 3, you own your expertise without apology. This is the identity piece. And this is where most people get stuck. Premium experts don't diminish, qualify, or apologize for their value. They state what they do clearly. They price confidently. They show up as the authority they are. They don't say, I just help people with. They say, I specialize in. They don't say, I'm still figuring it out, but here's what I know. They say, in my 15 years of experience, I've found that. They don't say, does $3,000 sound okay? They say, my rate is $3,000 for this transformation. Can you feel the difference in the energy? The power of owning your value? One is asking for permission. The other is stating reality. One is hoping to be chosen. The other knows they're the right choice. One is apologizing for their value. The other is owning it completely. Right now, you likely have the first 2 things going on. You can see things that other people can't. You create results other people can't. And what we're building today is the 3rd piece, the identity that owns it completely. We're going to do a recalibration. I want you to stop measuring your expertise by what you still don't know and start measuring it by what you uniquely do know. I want you to stop waiting for external validation to confirm you're expert enough and start anchoring to your own evidence. I want you to stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel and start recognizing the value of your specific path. Because here's the truth. You're not trying to become an expert. You already are one. You're just operating from an identity that can't see it yet. Today, we're recalibrating. We're adjusting the lens so you can finally see clearly. I want to give you a framework that's going to change how you see your own value. Value visibility framework. There are 3 types of knowledge you possess, and most people only see one of them. That's why they undercharge. Level 1, explicit knowledge. This is the stuff you can easily explain, your processes, your frameworks, your methodologies, your step-by-step systems. This is what you think your expertise is made of. When someone asks you what you do, you probably describe your level 1 knowledge. I help people with their marketing strategy using a 5-step framework, or I coach entrepreneurs through a proprietary process. Level 1 is important. It's the structure. It's what you can teach, what you can document, what you can systemize. But here's the problem: level 1 alone isn't what creates premium pricing, because level 1 can be learned. It can be replicated. It can be Googled. If you're only selling level 1 knowledge, you're competing on process. And competing on process means competing on price. Level 2, tacit knowledge. This is the stuff that's harder to articulate. The quantum leaps, the I just know moments, the ability to read between the lines. Tacit knowledge is what you've internalized through experience. It's the pattern recognition that happens in real time. It's the ability to know which approach will work for this specific person, even though you can't fully explain why. Let me give you an example. A therapist I worked with could walk into a room and within minutes sense the emotional undercurrent that the client wasn't verbalizing. She couldn't always explain how she knew. She just knew. That's tacit knowledge. That's level 2. A brand strategist I know can look at someone's visual identity and immediately tell you what's misaligned in their message. Not because she has a checklist, because she's developed an eye for it throughout her years of experience. A business coach I know can hear someone describe their revenue goals and instantly know whether those goals are actually aligned with what that person truly wants, or if they're chasing someone else's definition of success. These are not things you can teach in a course. They're things you develop through deep immersion in your work, through trial and error, through thousands of hours of practice. And here's what's important. Your clients can feel the difference between someone operating from level 1 and someone operating from level 2. When you work with someone who only has explicit knowledge, it feels like you're following a recipe. Have you ever had that happen? It works, but it's generic. When you work with someone who has tacit knowledge, it feels like magic. It feels personalized. It feels like they see you in a way no one else has. And that's what people pay premium rates for. Level 3, embodied knowledge. This is the rarest, and it's the hardest to explain. Level 3 is not just what you know or what you sense. It's who you've become through the work that you do. It's the way you hold space. It's the energy you bring. It's the confidence that makes clients feel safe investing at premium rates. It's the calm you maintain when a client is in crisis. It's the certainty you project when someone is doubting themselves. It's the wisdom you carry that can't be taught, only earned through experience. Embodied knowledge is what makes clients say, I don't know what it is about you, but I just knew you were right for me. It's what makes someone choose you over someone with similar credentials, but at a lower price. Because they can feel that you've walked the path, that you've been in the arena, that you know the terrain. This is the expertise that premium clients are buying, not your process, you. So here's your shift. Stop trying to prove you're expert enough by accumulating more level 1 knowledge. Stop thinking that one more certification will finally make you feel ready. Start recognizing and owning your level 2 and your level 3 value. So, how do you recognize these? Okay, ask yourself these questions. What do I do in my work that I can't fully explain? When have I made an intuitive leap that turned out to be exactly right? What do clients get from me that they couldn't get from a course or a book? What shift happens in my presence that don't happen elsewhere? What do people say about working with me that has nothing to do with my process, but everything to do with who I am? When have I known something about a client before they told me? When have I sensed the real issue beneath the surface issue? When have I held space for transformation in a way that created safety? Those moments, that's premium level expertise, and you already have it. The problem is you've been trying to sell yourself based on level 1, your frameworks, your processes, when what makes you truly valuable is level 2 and 3. So let's talk about your pricing and shift it. When you start recognizing your tacit and embodied knowledge, your pricing conversation changes completely. You stop saying, I'll take you through my 5-step process, and start saying, I bring 15 years of pattern recognition and intuitive strategy to every client engagement. You stop selling a system and start selling the transformation that can only happen with you. And premium clients, they get it immediately because they're not looking for the cheapest process. They're looking for the person who can see what others can't and create what others can't create with them. That's you. And you're just starting to own it now. Now, let's talk about the most dangerous habit that keeps this limiting identity in place: comparison. Constantly looking at what others charge. What credentials do they have? How do they position themselves? And using them as a measuring stick for whether you're enough or not. Hear this. Comparison is killing your ability to price at premium rates. Why? You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You see their polished offers and perfect positioning. You see their websites with the beautiful copy, their social media posts, their impressive number of clients, amount of revenue. You see their post about the $10,000 client they just signed, but you don't see their doubts. You don't see their struggles. You don't see the years it took them to get there. It took me 15 years to become an overnight success. You don't see that. You don't see the failed launches, the clients who said no, the moments they almost quit. So you look at where they are now and compare it to where you are now, and you feel behind. But you're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. This is your journey. It has nothing to do with theirs, and theirs has nothing to do with yours. Here's something I wish I would have learned earlier. Everyone you admire has felt exactly what you're feeling. The imposter syndrome, the self-doubt, the wondering if they're expert enough. The only difference is they decided to move forward anyway. They moved through it. Second, You're outsourcing your value to external validation. When you research what others charge before setting your own rates, here's what you're actually saying to yourself. I don't really trust my own assessment of my value. And that energy of distrust shows up. It shows up in your pricing. It shows up in your conversations when you hesitate before saying your rate. It shows up in your marketing when you over explain and over justify. It shows up in your sales calls when you're already bracing for an objection. Clients can feel it. They can sense when you don't believe in your own value. And if you don't believe in it, why should they? Premium pricing requires internal validation. It requires you to decide what you're worth based on your own evidence, your own results, your own expertise, not based on what everyone else is doing. So here's what I want you to understand. Other people's prices have nothing to do with your value. Write that down. Nothing. Someone else charging $500 doesn't mean you can't charge $5,000. Someone else charging $10,000 doesn't mean you're not allowed to charge $15,000. Your value is not determined by market comparison. It's determined by the transformation you create and the confidence you embody when you state your price. Third, you're anchoring to the wrong metric. Other people's prices are based on their journey, their positioning, their audience, their confidence, their business model, their lifestyle needs, their risk tolerance. None of those factors are yours. When you price based on what they charge, you're not pricing based on what you create. You're pricing based on what is someone else's reality. And then it confuses your brain because you're not them. And it keeps you stuck in a cycle of second guessing and undercharging because it doesn't feel right because it's not. So let me give you an example. I had a client who's charging $2,000 for a package that worked for, it took her like 40 hours to deliver. She researched what others in her industry charged and found that most people charge somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000 for similar service. So what did she do? What would you do? She put herself right in the middle. Let's add those two up and divide by 2, and there's my price. That way I'll be competitive. But here's what she didn't consider. Her clients weren't getting results. Her clients were getting results that were worth $50,000 or more in their business. She had this unique methodology that nobody else was using. And she'd been in business 20 years. Her competitors didn't have that. She was anchoring to the wrong metric. She was pricing based on what others charged, not based on what she was actually worth. When she shifted her pricing to reflect her value, $8,000 is what she decided on for that same package. And then something interesting happened. The clients who said yes to her now were higher quality. They were more committed. They implemented faster. They got better results. They were easier to work with because premium pricing isn't about making more money. It's about attracting people who value the expertise at the level you deliver it. Otherwise, you've got a value mismatch. Your value is not determined by comparison. It's determined by the transformation you create and the expertise you bring and the confidence you embody. Premium pricing isn't about being better than someone else. It's about being you. I want you to make a commitment. Stop researching other people's prices. Just stop. Every time you feel the urge to Google, like, how much is someone charging? Look them up, scroll through their social, go to their website, check their rates. Come back to your center Come back to your own evidence. Ask yourself, what transformation do I create? What results have I produced? What experience do I bring that's uniquely mine? What would I charge if no one else's opinion mattered? That's your truth. That's your anchor. When you stop comparing and start claiming, everything changes. You stop second guessing your prices. You stop feeling like you need to justify. You stop apologizing for your value and you start showing up with the energy of someone who knows exactly what they're worth, which is the energy that your premium clients are looking for. Your belief, your value, your communication of yourself is what they need. They need you to believe in yourself so they can believe in you. Now let's talk about what this new identity shift actually looks like. The identity of I'm exactly who my premium clients are looking for. That's your identity shift. This isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about finally becoming who you already are without the filter of self-doubt. It's about removing the layers of conditioning that told you to play small, to be humble, to wait your turn, to prove yourself endlessly before you're allowed to claim your value. Let me show you the language shift that happens when you embody this identity, the old identity. I just help people with their marketing, the new identity. I specialize in brand positioning for service-based entrepreneurs who are ready to scale. Do you see the difference? It's specific. The new identity is specific. It's confident. It positions you as an expert with a specialty, not someone who just helps. Okay, here's another one, old identity. I'm still learning, so I can't charge as much as the really established people. New identity. I bring 10 years of hands-on experience and a proven methodology that's created six-figure results for my clients. The new identity doesn't apologize for still learning because experts never stop learning. Instead, they focus on the value they've already accumulated. The old identity. Here's another example. I was thinking maybe $2,000. Does that sound okay? I'm flexible if that's too much. New identity. My rate for this is $5,000. Here's what's included. Here's the timeline for the results you'll see. The new identity doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't apologize. It doesn't pause and see what kind of response they're going to get. It states the price as a fact, not a question. Old identity. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you need anything else. New identity. This is the strategy that will get you to your goal. Here's exactly how to implement it. The new identity speaks with certainty. It delivers value with confidence, not hope. Can you feel the energetic difference? One is asking to be validated. The other is owning their authority. One is hoping to be chosen. The other knows they're the right choice. One is tiptoeing around their value. The other is standing fully in it. When you embody, I am exactly who my premium clients are looking for, everything changes. In your marketing, you stop hedging or over-explaining. You state what you do clearly, and then you trust that the right people will understand. You stop trying to convince people and start speaking directly to the people who already value what you offer. In your pricing conversations, you stop presenting your rates as a question. You state them as a fact. You don't apologize, you don't justify or brace for rejection. You simply share the investment and hold space for the client to decide. In your content, you stop teaching from a place of, here's what I learned, and start teaching from a place of, here's what I know. You own your expertise publicly. You make bold statements. You take strong positions in your sales calls. You stop interviewing for a job and start qualifying whether the client is right for you. You lead the conversation. You ask the deep questions. You see them or help them see what they can't see on their own, which is exactly what they'll pay you premium rates to do in your work together, in your client delivery. Stop over delivering out of fear and start delivering powerfully within boundaries. Trust your methodology. Hold your clients accountable. Don't take responsibility for their implementation. You guide them. They do the work. In your visibility, you stop hiding behind, I'm not quite ready yet. And you start showing up as the expert you are. You put your face on camera. You share your voice. You take up space unapologetically. This is what premium pricing looks like. Not just the number on the invoice, but the entire energy of how you show up in your business. So here's what I want you to do for the next week, starting right now. Catch every time you diminish your expertise. Every time you say just, or trying to, or I hope, or I'm still learning, just notice it. Don't judge yourself. Just notice these patterns are deeply wired. Recognition is the key to change. And then in real time, or as soon as possible afterwards, rephrase it from the new identity. Practice. If you catch yourself saying, I just help people get clear on their message, stop. Rephrase. I specialize in messaging clarity for entrepreneurs who are ready to stand out in their market. If you catch yourself thinking, I'm still figuring this out, so I can't charge that much yet, stop. Rephrase. I've been developing expertise in this area for years, and my clients get measurable results from my approach. This is pathway work. Every time you rephrase from the new identity, you're building new circuitry in your brain. You're teaching yourself that this is who you are now. At first, it can feel awkward. You might feel like you're being too bold or too confident. That's just your old identity trying to pull you back to what's familiar. Keep going. The discomfort is the evidence that you're growing. I want to tell you something that might surprise you. Premium clients are not looking for someone perfect. They're not looking for someone with every credential and every answer. They're looking for someone who owns their expertise with confidence. They're looking for someone who can see what they cannot see and guide them to the results they cannot create alone. They're looking for someone who shows up with certainty, not arrogance, certainty. Someone who says, I've done this hundreds of times. I know the path. I can guide you there. That's what they're willing to invest premium rates for. And that's who you are. You're just now starting to own it fully. Okay, so this is where we're going to take everything we've talked about and anchor it into your body, your nervous system, your identity. I want you to stay with me for this. Don't just listen passively, actively participate. Grab something to write with. We're going to do a series of powerful exercises that will shift how you see yourself. Okay, first, evidence collection. I want you to write down 3 specific, concrete results that you've created for clients that they could not have achieved without your expertise. Not vague results, specific ones. Not, I help them feel more confident. But my client landed a 50K contract after our work together. Not, I help them get clarity. My client went from scattered and overwhelmed to launching a focused offer that sold out in 48 hours. Be concrete, be proud. This is your evidence. You have 2 minutes. Go. Okay, hopefully you paused and wrote those down. Now, read what you just wrote out loud if you can. These are not small things. These are transformation. These are premium level results, and you created them. Okay, exercise 2, your unique value. I want you to write down 3 things about your approach, your background, your methodology that make you uniquely qualified to serve your ideal clients. This is not about being better than anyone else. It's about being you. What do you bring that's different? What's your unique combination of skills, experiences, perspectives? Maybe you have a background in two different industries that gives you a unique lens. Maybe you have a life experience that makes you deeply understand your client's struggle. Maybe you've developed a methodology that no one else in your field is using. Maybe you have a way of explaining complex concepts that makes them seem simple. Whatever it is, write it down. 3 things that make you uniquely valuable. You have 2 minutes, pause, go. Okay, read it back to yourself. This is your positioning. This is why premium clients choose you over everyone else. Exercise 3, the new identity statement. Okay, this is the most important part. I want you to complete this statement. I am exactly who my premium clients are looking for because. I am exactly who my premium clients are looking for because. And I want you to give yourself at least 5 specific evidence-based reasons. Pull from everything we've talked about today. Pull from the results you've just documented. Pull from your unique value. Pull from your years of experience. Make them specific. Make them true. Make them bold. This is your new identity speaking. Let her talk. You have 5 minutes. Pause. Go. Okay, now read it out loud. Seriously, even if it feels ridiculous. Even if you're alone in your room, no one's listening, just read it out loud because your nervous system needs to hear you claim this. Your subconscious needs to hear you own this. Your body needs to feel what it's like to speak from this identity. Read it again, slower this time. Let each word land. This is who you are, not who you're trying to become, who you already are. Exercise 4, the confidence anchor. One more exercise. I want you to think about a moment. It could be recent or from years ago when you felt completely confident in your expertise. Maybe it was a client session where you could see the transformation happening in real time. And you're just like, oh, I just nailed that. Maybe it was a moment when you solved a problem that had been stumping someone else. Maybe it was when you gave advice that turned out to be exactly right. Maybe it was when a client thanked you and said, I couldn't have done this without you. Find that moment. Got it? Close your eyes and really remember it. Feel it. What did you feel in your body? Where did you feel the confidence? In your chest? your gut, your shoulders. Now anchor it. Give that feeling a physical gesture. Maybe it's sitting up straighter. Maybe it's putting your hand on your heart or taking a deep breath. Whatever gesture feels right, do it now while you're remembering that confident moment. This is your anchor. When you're about to have a pricing conversation, when you're about to publish content, when you're about to show up as the expert you are, use this anchor. Whatever it is, do the gesture, remember the feeling, call it in. Because that confident version of you, that's not a special occasion. It's who you actually are when the self-doubt isn't in the way. All right, you did it. You just completed day 1 of the identity shift. Let me tell you what just happened. You identified the expertise that's like a blind spot that's been keeping you undercharging. You learned the difference between explicit, tacit, and embodied knowledge. And you recognized that your value is in level 2 and 3, not just level 1. You saw how comparison has been stealing your confidence and keeping you stuck. You experienced the new identity and what it sounds and feels like. You created evidence, real, tangible evidence that you're exactly who your premium clients are looking for. This isn't theory anymore. This is your new reality. So here's what I want you to do before day 2. First, put that new identity statement somewhere you'll see it every day, on your mirror, on your computer, in your phone. Read it every morning. Second, practice catching and rephrasing. Every time you minimize your expertise, notice it and rephrase it from your new identity. Third, take one action from the new identity before we meet again tomorrow. Maybe it's posting content that owns your expertise. Maybe it's having a pricing conversation without apologizing. Maybe it's introducing yourself with your full value, not your diminished version. One action to prove to yourself that this is who you are now. Tomorrow, we're tackling the identity around worthiness and money. I'm not worthy of big money. But today, we establish the foundation. You are the expert. You have the knowledge. You create the results. Your expertise is not up for debate. Your only job now is to start operating from that truth. I'm so proud of you for doing this work. I can't wait to see you tomorrow for day 2. Go embody your expertise, and I'll see you tomorrow.